Hi everyone, welcome back to Deep Dive Daily. You guys send us some absolutely wild and honestly sometimes kind of terrifying questions. And today, wow, we are tackling a huge one. It sounds like something straight out of a disaster movie, right? But we're going to break it down with some real science.
We've actually dug into what the experts calculate would happen. So we're going to walk through two different scenarios. First up, what if we took every single nuke that exists right now and set them all off? All right, let's dive in.
Okay, first things first, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer number we're dealing with. Right now, there are 15,000 nuclear warheads scattered across the planet, just sitting there. And as you can see, the vast majority of those belong to just two countries, the United States and Russia. Yep, they each have about 7,000. The rest of the world's nuclear powers, they have about 1,000 combined. So, what does 15,000 warheads actually mean in the real world? Well, think about this. There are roughly 4,500 cities on Earth with more than 100,000 people. We have enough firepower to hit every single one of them 3 times over and still have 1,500 bombs left. It is total and complete overkill.
And the total explosive power? It's just staggering. We're talking 3 billion tons of TNT. That is some serious world-altering firepower.
To put that into perspective, remember the legendary Krakatoa volcanic eruption back in 1883? It was one of the most powerful natural events in recorded history. Our current nuclear arsenal has 15 times more energy than that single cataclysmic eruption.
That just brilliantly illustrates the scale we're dealing with. It's a force of nature that we've actually created ourselves. So for our little thought experiment, let's imagine we take our big pile of 15,000 warheads, drop them right in the middle of the Amazon, and see what happens.
All that power, all in one place. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Kaboom! Instantly, a fireball 50 kilometers across just vaporizes everything in its path. A blast wave flattens 3,000 square kilometers of forest. That's an area bigger than Luxembourg. The pressure wave from this thing is so immense it will literally circle the globe for weeks. And that iconic mushroom cloud, it's going to soar so high it scrapes the very edge of space.
And when the smoke finally clears, what's left is a 10-kilometer-wide scar on the face of the Earth. The land around it is just an uninhabitable, radioactive wasteland. That fallout doesn't just stay put either. It spreads all across the globe, basically doubling the background radiation and increasing cancer risks for everyone. On top of that, we trigger a sort of mini nuclear winter, cooling the entire planet for several years.
So, here's the crucial point. While it would be an unimaginable catastrophe for South America, wiping out the Amazon entirely, human civilization would amazingly survive. But what if we didn't stop there? What if we decided to take it to the next level?
Okay, but what if we went bigger, like way bigger? What if humanity decided to mine every last bit of usable uranium on Earth and build as many bombs as physically possible? We are talking about 35 million tons of the stuff. With that much uranium, we could build millions and millions of warheads. And the total power would be the same as the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Yeah, we're talking about creating our very own, literal, extinction-level event.
So, same energy as the dino killer, but this time, it's nuclear. The final countdown starts now. 3, 2, 1.
This explosion is just on a completely different scale. It's not a disaster, it's an extinction-level event, engineered by us. The ground itself splashes like water, carving out a 100-kilometer crater. Debris gets blasted into space, only to rain back down, heating the entire atmosphere until it's like the inside of an oven. This triggers global firestorms that swallow continents whole. Well, the shockwave sets off earthquakes stronger than anything in recorded history, leveling cities thousands of miles away from the blast. And for anyone who somehow survives that initial blast, well, the aftermath is what truly seals our fate. So much ash and soot is thrown into the sky that it completely blocks out the sun. Temperatures plummet to near freezing. This isn't a nuclear winter, it's a nuclear ice age that lasts for decades. And everywhere, every single corner of the planet is covered in a blanket of deadly radioactive fallout. There is no coming back from this. It's the end of our species and probably almost every other large animal species on the planet. You know, the few quote-unquote lucky survivors in deep bunkers or submarines or maybe even on the space station, they'd just be delaying the inevitable. They'd eventually run out of supplies and have to emerge into a charred, freezing, radioactive wasteland. But the planet itself, it moves on.
Because really, the planet doesn't care about us. Once that nuclear winter finally ends and the last humans are gone, Earth begins to heal. Within a few million years, which is just a blink of an eye in geological time, the scars fade, and life is thriving once more. Maybe even more so without us around.
But what evidence would we leave behind? If a new intelligent species evolved millions of years from now, their future geologists would discover something truly bizarre.
They would find this strange, thin layer of rock spanning the entire globe, a unique geological signature enriched with radioactive elements, rare metals, and, get this, plastics. They would be so confused. It would be the undeniable mark of a species that had the power to remake its world and ultimately to unmake itself.
Hit that like button if you enjoyed this, share it around, and subscribe for more. Drop a comment below with your views. See you tomorrow at the same time.